everybody, I'm Leo, logically, and welcome to the second Reading in the Dark devlog. I worked really hard on this build, and I have a lot of new stuff to show you, from visuals to game mechanics, then new areas, a lot of new stuff that I think is a very good step forward in the direction that I want the game to be in. So let's start off talking about the elephant in the room. The visuals. So I made a lot of new changes visually in the post-process shader. Now it is blended together with the normal view, giving this feeling that it's something extra. Now I can do different colors, and I can also do particle effects, and that's really essential for what I'm trying to do here. Now I'm getting a lot better at doing the objects in the game, and I'm getting a lot more used to Blender's interface and how it works, and my workflow is getting a lot faster, so I can do a lot more in less time, and that is especially great because I'm just one man and I need to get this game off the ground someday. Now I'm also studying a lot of sculpting, anatomy, and character design. And before, on the last devlog, I had no clue what I was doing in terms of sculpting characters and just using tools out of Blender and now ZBrush. With this, now I can do a lot more in terms of organic materials such as the characters that I'm going to show you in a bit, and just statues or parchments or any sort of different object that would require a little bit of sculpting. What I'm really enjoying in all of this process is that I'm able to train in how to get a better understanding of sculpting, but I'm also doing assets for my game, and that is brilliant because I'm killing two birds with one stone here. And now I can translate that into a lot of other different things, and that's just great. I'm really happy that I'm being able to understand more and to get better while I do it. With all of that said, here's the protagonist of the game. He doesn't look that great now, does he? I know he looks really bad, but keep in mind that that was my first actual character that I have ever done. This was my first time adding bones to a mesh and adding animations outside from one or two courses that I took in the past. So this was a great first step, but of course this character is not good, this character is not acceptable. Fortunately enough, you will never see his face ever again, because he is the main player, the main protagonist, and you won't ever have a mirror or anything that you will be able to see yourself. And as I was saying, now I want a lot more experience in making characters before I actually try and make a monster. With the character model, it came something that is quite nice and I quite enjoyed, and here it is, have a look. So as you can see here, you are actually in first person when it comes to having your model in the game. So when you look down, you will be able to see your player's model, and with this comes a lot more immersion in my view, because I really loved in Outlast when you look down you would see your character, that you had a model, that you were actually a physical thing in the universe and you were not just a floating head. So I really went above and beyond. It took me 1 or 2 months to make the character model, then implement all of his different animations. I had to make a lot of different animations. But now, speaking of clothing, I have some bad news. I tried implementing objects that you can hold and they all have cloth physics on them. And it worked. It worked quite nice. But I had a few problems with it, because every time you wanted the cloth to collide with anything in the environment, it just wouldn't collide. And that is a new bug in Unreal Engine, because before it didn't happen in older versions. I was even thinking of downgrading my version, but I couldn't do it. So in the end, I found this plugin that you can get any object in your game and you can transform that into a cloth physics object. Then it can collide with everything that you want. It worked quite well and I loved it, but the problem is that I need a lot of different clothing in my game, and I think that if I were to add a lot of different pieces of clothing, I think it would be way too much of a burden in any computer, and it would just bog down performance for no reason. I mean, you would have some good new immersion moments where you can hold pieces of cloth and throw them away, but that doesn't add anything to the gameplay. That doesn't add anything to the value of the game, and I don't think it's justified for me to put such a big cost in performance for something that is not this substantial. One thing that I noticed while playing Amnesia is that they have some cloth pieces that are not interactable, so you cannot see if it has cloth physics. So I could make some cloth pieces hanging that would not be interactable, but that would contradict what I wanted to do with this game. I want 99% of stuff to be interactable. I want every single small object that you see to be able to be picked up and put down and interacted with. So now I'm going to talk about something that I promised in the last devlog, which is the base structures for environments. I've made a base for an area of the game. That is not going to be where the entire game takes place in. My plan is to have a forest area and then some underground caves area. So level design is something incredibly important for me, and I'm trying to also plan for the levels before I actually work on them. So I have this whole documentation about the story of the game, and I also have a lot of the maps pre-made using a third-party software before I actually put in the effort in the engine to make those environments work. Good news, the game is a lot lighter now. I don't know why, but the game now runs in my notebook. It didn't before. I learned some important lessons about 4K textures in my dragon character that I made. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave a link for it in the description. So after you watch this video, you can go there and see how I made this character and the important lessons that I've learned. And now it's time to talk about the new mechanics that I made. This time I wanted to make the electrical objects such as televisions, radios, lamps, and they work just as they would in real life. You can connect or disconnect them from a power outlet, and they are going to play sounds to distract monsters, play TV shows, as the case of the television. They can light up the path if you hold a lamp, and then you can maybe light up an area of a room if you want, if you have no flashlight battery left. So here's how it works. You press E on an object to interact with it, just as you would in Half-Life. Then, some objects are electrical and they turn on or off. Some objects don't require you to plug it in an outlet and they will do a special action. An example of this would be those Jack-in-a-Box clowns that they pop off. You would pick that up and you can press E to turn it on, and then the lever starts doing this and the clown pops off the box. Here's an example. Another quick little thing that I wanted to just point out is destructible mesh. It works fairly well in Unreal Engine, and after some tweaking I was able to implement the destructible mesh combined with my prop system. Now you have some glass objects, some ceramic objects that you can pick up, and if you throw it on the ground with enough force, it will break, resulting in a big noise that will attract enemies. Now, speaking of noise, let's talk about sound effects and sound design. I saw a lot of different horror game music in the Unreal Engine marketplace, and I loved it. I want to use them, at least for now, because I feel like they have a great vibe and atmosphere to it that really complements what I'm trying to make with my game. Maybe in the future, if I have more budget, if maybe I go on Kickstarter or something, I can buy some unique music made only for my game. But right now that is the more affordable option, and but let's see what the future holds. I'm now implementing the sound effects in the game, and they are all being made by Dalton Lafond. He's a really awesome guy that makes sound effects. I'm going to leave a link for his stuff in the description below, so check him out. But now I won't be talking much about sound effects in general every devlog, because it is some continuous work that I'm always going to be putting effort in. Now let's head over to the frequently asked questions section of this devlog. Are you adding VR support? No, I'm not, because I see a lot of those guys that they have a project and they keep adding stuff to this project, right? They keep adding and the project seems to never end. I don't want to be like that. I want to finish this project and move on to the next one. Now, I'm what you could say a VR enthusiast. I love VR. I have the old CV1 Oculus Rift, and I'm really excited to playing the new Half-Life game, and that made me want to make my game VR, but I just cannot add more to it. My game is complete. The idea of the game is complete in my head. I don't want to add anything more to it, otherwise it's just a black hole of new stuff that I'm going to be adding, and it just will never end. So I need to put my feet in the ground and say, no, I'm going to finish this. Maybe after I finish this game I can implement some VR functionality like The Forest. The Forest, they finished the game and then they added VR. So maybe in the future, years from now, I might add some VR support. Will you release the game on Steam? Yes, I plan on releasing the game on Steam. If you don't know, I already have a game there. It's not much. The game, you can finish the game in 2 minutes. It took me 5 months to make it, and you can finish it in 2 minutes. That's really unfair. That game was my first Unreal Engine game after some time with Unity. So I'm quite happy with the result, but keep in mind it's a very simple game. I think it's 30 cents on Steam. When are you doing a playable demo? I want to do a vertical slice of the game for sure. By the end of the year, I actually think I need to make one, because this game is also my graduation project in college, so I will need to have something to show to my teachers by the end of this year. So yes, I plan on having a playable demo by the end of the year, if not at least until half of next year. Then I think I can actually make all of the mechanics in the game work, 1 or 2 creatures that can, go after you. But until then, I'm going to keep you updated with the videos. If anything changes, I will tell you about it. Now, if you want me to answer your question, feel free to comment down below in the comment section, and I will for sure read it in the next devlog. And for the next episode, I'm going to focus a lot more on world building. Making assets, level design, making the rest of the map. I'm going to focus a lot of my efforts into just making more content for the game instead of adding new systems and mechanics. But I want to make one big fundamental system in my game, which is the inventory system. I want to make all of the inventory system work, and I want to also add the collectible objects that you will be seeing throughout the game. I know this is not as much as this devlog, but just rest assured, I'm only going to show you stuff when I have stuff to show. So I'm going to finish the system, I'm going to add some new areas, hopefully, and I'm going to have a lot of new stuff to show you next devlog. I just don't want to promise a lot if I actually don't have time to make those things. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button and please subscribe for more content like this. Now you have a fantastic day. I'm Leo, signing off.
And now, here's Warren Marshall with the news.